Oh my gosh, I need the air. So did anyone else go to Walmart tonight? They had no food. Mm. I haven't ate tacos in like so long. Like, I didn't know that. Like, when I grew up, it's like, oh, this person eats pig's feet, yada yada yada. It's like, okay. I think it's weird that it's always like, oh, they're pickled pig's feet. And I guess obviously, like I was eating like a lot of pork tacos, and I was only eating it because literally they were like giving pork away. Like, I'm not even lying to you. And when I tell you I was eating it for like 6 months, like it probably was 7 months. But I didn't realize that pork was bad. Like all this stuff about, religion and God and what you should and shouldn't eat because certain things are unclean, quote unquote. I mean, that was like 3 years ago, 2 years ago that I was eating all that pork. And you gotta know that when they say them motherfuckers, I don't understand really what's wrong with like pickled things. Like I think pickled jalapenos are good, but I guess if a motherfucker's sitting there eating pickled pig's feet, like they only like it because it defies God, I guess. And like, what I think's really weird. I remember growing up, like little kid type of shit, like 4 years old, whatever. There's certain things I didn't like. Like I never liked mayonnaise. I never liked like onions and shit in my mouth. Like when people ate salsa, I thought that was like the nastiest shit ever. But I think a lot of what's going on too, like you read that like, hatred and stuff is a learned thing. Racism is learned. And a lot of this stuff is fucking learned. Like, you know, when you open yourself up to certain things, like it's not good. And like you cannot there's like I think a reason like all the shit they hate God, da 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 da, they hate God. It's learned. You don't just hate God, like it's learned. Satan teaches you to hate God and hate yourself. And what I think is interesting as fuck is that like you can't be in a household growing up where they say like you can't say God here and stuff like that. Like for me, it's unimaginable to make me be somewhere where you can't bring up God, like or that you hate God. Like it's just something that's unimaginable to me. Like a few months ago, I was with them and they actually said like you cannot talk, you can't bring up God's name here, and it was like they were being fucking serious, and it's like I think it's funny that they can't do that to you when you're young. But the funny thing is that they never, ever, 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 ever spoke of God's name. Like, I wonder what would happen if I brought God's name up when I was like 15. I'm pretty sure I'd have been hit for it. Like, I'm not even lying. But it's like, I kept saying this to myself today. It's like, at a certain point in someone's adult life, when you're telling them something, they want an explanation. Like, I don't think they're understanding that. Like, to an adult wants an explanation. But for some reason, this shit, they're not giving me an explanation. So it's like, how the fuck do you expect to get anywhere with anyone without even being able to communicate? And like, I don't care that they speak like these silent languages. Those silent languages are fucking retarded. But it's like, when I was growing up, anyone that really talked to me about the Bible and stuff, like, I thought it was a joke. And I think I was so overwhelmed in my household that I couldn't really like nothing seemed really real, like at all. And like from my point of view, it's kind of like, well, I don't have to try to be good, like, and I'm not really bad. And like, I think I always wondered. I think back then, as a teenager, however old I was, like, the only thing I ever was curious about, and it's like, but like, what's bad? Like, I didn't get what bad was. Like, so obviously, I didn't really believe in the Ten Commandments. But like, I was always like, but what's bad? Like, I never could understand just anything. Like I'm like I don't have to try to do anything. So then like what's bad? I just didn't get it. But I guess it's kind of like I just didn't understand why learn about something if I'm not bad. That's what I didn't understand. Like, what is bad? I don't get it. Like, I just literally did not get it. That shit is so funny. Oh my god, shut up. I'm unavailable. But think about it this way, it's like if you have all these inherent qualities, like I'm a heterosexual, like I like flirting with guys, then and then like I think I was always opposed to marriage. Like I was like I'm not that serious about my heterosexuality though. Like I'm serious about my heterosexuality, but I'm not that serious about it. And like so it's like if you realize that you like flirting with people and then like I was always like a type of person though, like I didn't want to cross that line with anybody. Like I didn't just because I like to flirt with you, like I don't want you in between my legs. Like I don't want to kiss you really. Like to me, like you would think, well then like doesn't kissing like, increase the excitement of your heterosexuality? It's like because then I realized it's actually like, oh my god, this is actually a person and I'm not really into that. So like I never really like do anything like that, but then like those are really really strong like identifying things about me, and that's who I am as a person. But how do you like cultivate? How do you make that your like thing though? When you're being forced to drink and you're being forced to hang out with people that drink and fuck, and that's what was my life. Like I was literally forced to be around people. Like I was forced to engage in sex and fucking getting alcohol poisoning. So it's like, with all those things being said, then you take me to church, and I'm so fucking confused at this point. Everything's fucking confusing. Nothing makes any fucking sense because I don't feel like I'm a bad person because I'm being forced to do all this fucking shit, basically. My household's fucking overwhelming as fuck. Like, it's just really annoying. Like, I like my heterosexuality, but I mean, I don't like, I don't really like anything else about it. I don't like just because I'm a heterosexual doesn't mean that I want to have sex with people. Like, but that's like another weird point. It's like that just seems who at 10 years old or whatever it is thinking like, oh yeah, like because everything's about marriage and stuff. Really, like getting the Bible seems to really talk about marriage. Like I think that's really weird. And so it's like I already at 10 years old knew I'm not into that type of stuff, but it's like at the same time though, it's talking about like good and bad and shit, and it's like how like what when God was doing all this, what did God think about? Well, these people are gonna have, you know, heterosexuality and shit like that, and then how would it be bad then for them to have sex, knowing that marriage is not good? It just it's like you really think 10-year-olds and stuff and 15-year-olds are thinking like no one's telling them these answers either. But you really think that people are like, "Oh, like I'm heterosexual, but I can't have sex because it's bad." Like, what? That doesn't make any sense. Like my thing is like, why am I like why is there attraction? That's what's weird to me. But then it's like, you know, there's been a lot of times like people like want to say like, oh, like, oh, this isn't real. Da, da, da. It's like, no, I remember like over 10 times where someone tried to get me to like steal with them, or like even Junior like wanted me to like go on his marijuana runs with them after. And it's just like, all my whole entire life, I'm just like, this shit's so fucking stupid. Like, I just don't get anything. Like, oh, like, oh, look, your best friend Amanda's like sucking dong on the fucking bus, and I'm like, why? Like, they keep telling me that. I'm like, I don't understand why you're telling me that. Like, I just don't understand why you're telling me that. Like, why am I supposed to care? Like, she's a slut. She's a slut. She's a slut. I'm just like, I don't care. Like, what she's doing, I don't get it. Like, I have like, you loved her. You're her best friend and stuff like that, and it's like, we had like Fridays we'd bring liquor to school. Okay, that was probably bad. But then again, they basically told me I was stupid. But so it's like, what am I supposed to do in school then? I'll obviously know I'm not stupid. I know something's going on. So how am I supposed to take this shit fucking seriously? Like, it's just everything was so confusing, but at the same time, it's like I don't like I don't really feel like I'm bad or I'm doing anything bad, but yet I feel like the concept when you went to like church school or whatever that shit is, they would be like always like bad, bad. Almost like everyone's got bad in them or something. Like something like weird like that. But and so it was very confusing to me. I'm just like I just don't get like what that is. Like we're half good and half bad or something. Like I just don't get it. So and then like anytime I ever went to church, like I literally thought they were talking another language. I did not get I don't think I never understood anything. So, you know, when I was eating that fucking those pork tacos a few years ago, it was like somebody was in the room with me staring me down and I'm just like, what? Like is the person jealous that I'm finally enjoying food? Like food has been this huge fucking issue throughout my whole entire life and I'm enjoying fucking food. What's the problem? It's like, well, I guess just because it's unclean or something, but I mean, there's like a lot of things I would have done differently. Like I would have worked my ass off, but like I feel like my parents and stuff like they didn't want me to think about stuff like that, like how I should work and shit and do stuff for my own or whatever. And it's because they were so overbearing, but they never taught me anything. But I mean, you could definitely say that like I think that all the teachings about God and church and stuff was a bunch of fucking bullshit. Like it was like one of the most it was like the biggest crock of fucking shit. It was like worthless. Like that's really what I believe too. It was so fucking worthless. Like you're talking in another fucking language. You're talking like you're like a fairy or something like that. Like it's fucking Peter Pan and shit like that. Like it's a Disney movie or something. Like I just don't really get it. Like why not just be like, your choices fucking matter? Because like to me, it's like, um, why don't you just say stuff like your choices fucking matter for your tomorrow? So I don't know, like like I just think the whole thing with church and stuff was basically like to be like, just so you know, like there's kind of a God or something like that. And even then, it was like It was unbelievable. Like it was just like all I know is like how I feel, like how I felt since I was a kid. Like that's all I fucking know. And then there's this outside world that is very, very, very controlling. And there's a lot of those people in my life that are very controlling. And they're supposed to be telling me how to live my life. And then there's this thing where it's like, oh, and there's a God and shit. So it's like, okay. Yeah. Anyways, I have to shower.